JD and Corey, we are our hosts and we are glad that we have you here.
It's really great to be here, I have to say. Thank you so much for inviting me and for giving me a chance to teach a course with Corey. It's something I've been wanting to do for years, and I'm really glad I have a chance to do it. So
I'm glad to hear it. So we have some questions for you. You will tell everything you want, of course. So we won't force you to do anything you don't want to.
It's hard to keep
I
us
promise.
from.
yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Okay, so if you tell in few words how have you started programming and why have you continued to program, what do you
Why don't you start?
want to say?
Okay. I started programming by cheating at video games.
Wow.
Because when I was a kid, the video games came with the source. And when I would get to a spot where I couldn't get past a spot, I would break the program, list the code around where I was, and then I started out just by reading it to figure out what I needed to do. And then I would continue from that spot. And then it got to the point where I started making it where I could alter it.
Yeah.
And then restart it to just, I don't even have to do anything, I just push myself to the next spot. And then I continue doing it, I think a lot because I can't draw. And it sort of really gets the creative part of me out, and the sort of the artistic part. I feel like I'm creating something from nothing, and I would love to be able to draw, but I haven't taken the time to practice it and learn it. I'm going to start taking lessons on drawing, but until then, this is what I do.
And I think you will continue programming. even
Absolutely.
if you
Now I love it. I mean, it's
Okay.
it's part of me. So.
And you?
Well, the short answer, well, for the long answer, I actually go here. /CQH. Corey's actually interviewed me on this question before. And
Yes,
I'm
I know about
I'm
it.
actually hesitant to answer because I might say something that contradicts the video evidence from earlier. But
Okay, the short version.
I really don't remember why I started. I remember when I started, and I remember thinking when I was about 7 was when I got my first computer, and the first bit of programming that I did was, just typing in the games the listings were printed in magazines back then, and so you would type them in and play them. And actually one of the first things that I started doing that required any kind of programming was making music. I had a Commodore VIC-20 computer. It was the first 3-voice sound chip in a home computer. And at first I started just playing music, and it was really nice to hear sort of the 3 voices and the tricks that the arrangers had to do to make 3 voices sound like a whole band or a whole orchestra. It was actually pretty impressive. And then I started to learn how to do that myself. And slowly that just got into some basic programming, literally in BASIC. And I seemed to have an aptitude for it. So then when I got into high school, there was a computer programming course, so I took it. And it's gone on from there. And I keep programming because, actually I don't know why I keep programming. It's almost like I can't not program.
We ask the question a lot ourselves.
Yeah,
Why
what?
do you keep programming?
It's really not recommended, but you guys can't stop me.
Okay, we are glad to hear this.
I'm curious, the developers that you know, did they usually start it in the same way? I mean, having fun first and then getting a job in the...
I mean, really since I think kind of since the Y2K period, sort of from about 1997 until now, so much programming, or so many programmers have got into the field because there was a shortage of programmers. Companies were throwing money at programmers, and so a lot of people were learning programming for the first time in college or university. And I don't remember having friends who did programming when I was young, when I was 10, 12, 14. I don't remember really being in a circle of friends who did programming. It was kind of rare to know other programmers until really I got into high school. So I don't really know how people get into programming now. It just seems like they do it because it seems like a lucrative field. If I could have made money as a mathematician, I probably would have done that. But you kind of need to be one of the 20 best mathematicians in the world to make money doing mathematics. So computer programming kind of seemed like a practical alternative to trying to be a mathematician for hire. I don't know. What was your experience?
Yeah, I don't know why people get into it now either. As a teenager, I had friends who programmed, but that was because we did BBSs, and we would write the application. We would write extensions to the BBS, the bulletin boards,
I never did that.
games and things. Now, I don't really know. And I don't know how they get into it, because I got into it because all of the source code was there.
Yeah.
But nowadays, I guess you can make extensions to World of Warcraft and stuff, but I don't...
Well, and there's been really a change in the way that we relate to computers that's similar to a change sort of in the middle of the 20th century in how we interact with music. In 1900, if you said, I like music, that meant you played 2 or 3 instruments. In 1970, when you said, I like music, it means you listen to the radio. And I think computers have kind of gone the same way. In the 1970s and 1980s, if you said, I like computers, it meant you programmed. Nowadays, to know computers is to be able to run Microsoft Word, is to be able to go on the internet and run a browser. So I think there just isn't the same access to the program that there used to be. There isn't the same interaction directly with the machine. It's all these layers of things now. And now, even just saying that I'm interested in computers just means you're a user. It doesn't mean you're a programmer. There are just so many more users than programmers.
It's true. Yes, maybe we will continue to make research on this to see.
It would be interesting to
How-
ask some of the
how
younger
the
generation why.
Yeah, why do you do this?
Okay.
On a related topic, how do you feel about education for software developers nowadays?
Well, it's really hard to answer that question without sounding like the old cranky guy.
Can I sound like the old cranky guy?
Yeah.
It's awful.
Oh.
It's possibly the scourge of the software industry right now is the way that we educate developers. We put them, if they go to a university, we teach them things that are, they go to a computer science program and they learn computer science under the guise of learning, oh, well, I'm going to be a software developer, and they don't learn anything about software development.
How is it in 2010 that we can't tell the difference between a computer science degree and computer programming training?
Yeah.
And yet we still we think that, we think that taking a math degree will make us a programmer. Computer science is mathematics, folks. It's not programming. And yet we expect programmers to have computer science degrees. I don't get it.
And we take people, young kids who have been, maybe they've been hacking around with the language through their teen years, they've been fooling around with Linux and all this, and we stick them in a language theory course.
Yeah.
And it's like taking somebody who only speaks one language and putting them in an advanced linguistics course and saying, oh, you're going to learn all of this wonderful stuff.
Right.
You'll pick up some stuff for sure, but you're not going to be able to really appreciate the subtleties.
Well, you can't learn French from a linguistics course, just like you can't learn how to deliver software from a computer science degree.
Yeah. And out of the computer science program, the way we generally bring people in if they don't go through, take a degree, is they'll get a job somewhere, usually at a large corporation, and they won't have any real guided mentoring.
No, they're pretty much on their own.
Yeah, my first job as a professional software developer, I guess 13 years ago or something, I was the only developer in the department. And I was hired on. And, I won't tell the story, but I have a story about rolling out my first application, and I couldn't get it installed. I didn't know. I had to call a friend and go, I don't know what's wrong. And it was something stupid.
Right.
Just some stupid thing. I hadn't included a file or something. And so we don't have a good way to bring people, whether they're young or whether they're older. I have a friend who went from family therapy into software development, and he found his own way, and he's put a lot of effort into studying, but there was no real good set way to bring them in, mentor them for a few years, get them into that place where they actually know what they're doing, and learn the history, learn where we're from. You know, you can't stand on the shoulders of giants if you don't know who the giants are.
Yeah.
Of course, and because you mentioned about mentorship and mentors, what do you want to share with us about software craftsmanship movement?
Well, the floor is yours, man.
Well, what software craftsmanship is to me is the natural extension of how the agile methodologies, extreme programming in particular, which is what I do, the point of them was to help us develop better software. The thing that they were kind of missing was, how do you develop better software developers? And so what software craftsmanship, what my view of it is bringing a more structured way to bring new developers in, mentor them effectively, give them a sound set career path that they can go, oh, I'm coming in, I know what the first few years are going to look like, I have people that I can look up to that I can base my career on, and just sort of lay it out there. That's one of the aspects with regards to this, and it's really about teaching people what it means to have a career in software development.
I agree, Romania is missing, it's totally missing having a path for software developers. It's like you are getting stuck at some point on just a software developer. It's somehow not
I've seen it over and over. When I was at IBM, I was there for nearly 4 years. And towards the end, one of the reasons I left was that they, like, rising up the corporate ladder at IBM as a purely technical practitioner, it's like you had to know a guy. Like, they said, well, you can't go any further unless we make you a manager. I've also worked on a team at Toyota where one of the people on the team was only there because he thought, if I work as a programmer on a project for 6 months, then that will help me move up as a project manager. Like, he was seeing programming as a stepping stone. And I'm not as involved in the craftsmanship movement. I'm happy to let Corey and all the other folks who've been involved in it shepherd it, because frankly I don't have the energy to make it happen. But one of the things that I'd love to see as a result is combating the last 10 years of just having warm bodies writing software. And it just seems like this is, where the education system is the scourge of the software development industry. I would argue that it's the overhiring, it's the overpopulation of so-called programmers.
Exactly.
I refer to them affectionately as code execution monkeys, where you have one person whose job is to do all the thinking and 10 people whose job is to do all the typing.
And it's not working this way.
Well, it works this much. All success is by luck. I don't see what the point is. So I'd like to see, whatever happens with software craftsmanship, I would like to see, as a result, a generation of programmers who are not there just to fill a seat, who are there who want to build great software. And then we won't need 10 of them. We'll have 4 of them and they'll be awesome. Because we know they're out there. Every 20-person project is a 6-person project trying to get out.